Are we rolling? Yes, we are. What's up, guys? It's your boy McKinley Crain here, and today I'm going to be doing my spoiler-free movie review of the 2008 Marvel movie, The Incredible Hulk. So before I get into this review, I have to I feel like I have to clarify that this is a remake of the 2003, the original 2003 live-action theatrical Hulk movie. It's not a sequel to the original 2003 Hulk movie that starred Eric Bana and was directed by Ang Lee. It is part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, aka the MCU, even though, it stars Edward Norton as Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk. In this movie, instead of like the current MCU Hulk actor, who is who's Mark Ruffalo, who currently plays Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk in the MCU. Anyway, let me just say that even though the Incredible Hulk from the 2008 film, and the Hulk from all the other MCU movies that he's been in, are played by two separate actors. They're the same exact character. It's the same character. It's just that they had to replace the actor. Anyway, so like I said, this movie stars Edward Norton as Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk, who is yeah, he was just a normal guy, and then he was part of some experiment, super soldier experiment, that went wrong, and made him change into the Incredible Hulk when he's angry, if you know what I mean. Everybody should know that by now. Well, everybody who's familiar with Marvel or just superheroes in general should know that by now. Yeah, so he has to live with that. He's living with that, right? He's trying to in this movie he's trying to control, the Hulk side of him, if you know what I mean. He's control his anger so he doesn't he's trying to control his anger so he doesn't turn into the Hulk when he doesn't need to turn into the Hulk, and it's a bad time for him to turn into the Hulk. And he's also on the run and hiding from Thunderbolt Ross, aka just General Ross, who is played by William Hurt. Who is who thinks that Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk, is dangerous, and is too dangerous to be left on his own, and like, he wants to, like, he wants to find out, how exactly, how exactly, like, his Hulk powers work, and like how to recreate the experiment, and like, how to like make more, like, super soldiers who can like turn into the Hulk, but like, like he wants to like make, like, like transform like normal soldiers into, like, super soldiers with, like, the Incredible Hulk powers, if you know what I mean, like, but he wants to like control them and use them for, like, like, his own, basically his own doings, if you know what I mean. Like, he wants to use them as like war weapons, but like, he basically wants them to be like kind of like almost slaves, if you know what I mean. Like, he definitely wants that for, like, like Bruce Banner, if you know what I mean. He wants to like metaphorically dissect him, and yes, that is actually a line from the movie. Like, Bruce Banner says in the actual movie that General Ross wants to dissect him, but metaphorically, if you know what I mean. Like, meaning that, like, he wants to, like, figure, like, basically figure out how his powers work, and like, get a sample of his blood, and like, like I said, just make other Hulks and stuff like that, and use them for like weapons of war and stuff like that. Anyway, I saw this movie almost 2 years ago. Like, I saw this movie in early 2019, in like late January of early 2019. I'd already seen all of the MCU movies that had come out, except for that one. When I watched it, like, and then I basically, like, I knew, I was familiar with the MCU, but I just hadn't seen that one, because it's not like, it wasn't one that, like, everybody talks about a lot, if you know what I mean. It's the one that, like, people just forget. A lot of people forget this movie exists for some reason. Basically, probably mainly because, it's like so different from the rest of the MCU movies. It's got like the most unique tone, and because, like, of the actor change and stuff like that, the actor recasting. So, like, like, that's why that's why I decided to watch that one last. But I watched it. Oh, and by the way, I've seen all of the MCU movies that have come out so far. Like, I've seen them all. There are more coming, obviously, a lot more coming, and they'll probably never end, if you know what I mean. They'll probably never be like the last MCU movie, because like the franchise will like go on forever, if you know what I mean. And that's a good thing, because they make great movies. Those are great movies. Marvel makes great movies. Well, mostly great movies. Anyway, I've also seen, for those of you who are curious, I've also seen the original live-action Hulk movie, the 2003 one, like, that starred Eric Bana as Bruce Banner, aka Hulk. That was directed by Ang Lee. Remember that one? Probably not, because not a lot of people remember this movie. Um, anyway, you know, this, well, not this movie, but the original Hulk movie from 2003 came out the year I was born. I was born in 2003. So, of course, I didn't see it immediately. Um, I actually saw the 2003 original Hulk movie um, back in April of 2020. Late April, late April of 2020. So I saw the original Hulk movie after I saw this one, and I like this version, the 2008 version, way better than I like the 2003 original version. I mean the 2003 original version is decent. It's okay. Um, uh, like I gave it a positive review when I reviewed it, like on this channel, and like it that hasn't changed. It's I still have a positive opinion about that movie, on that movie. Um, but it's nowhere near as good as the 2008 Incredible Hulk movie is, which is the one I'm reviewing. And everybody who's familiar with those two movies and has seen them most likely agrees with me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, most of everybody I know actually agrees with me. I have seen like some people online like just I say like, or heard some people online say that they actually prefer the 2003 one, and yeah, that's understandable. But like opinions are opinions, and like I like this Incredible Hulk movie, the 2008 one, much better. Anyway, this movie in this movie, Edward Norton does a fantastic and perfect perform does a fantastic and perfect and terrific and a very convincing job playing his character, like the Hulk. He does a very great job. He's obviously not as good at playing the Hulk as Mark Ruffalo is, but they're both perfect at it. Like, if you know what I mean. They're both perfect. Both of their Hulks are perfect. It's just that one is better than the other. Anyway, Bruce Banner in this one, and just like in all of the live action, in all of the live action Marvel movies that have had Hulk in them or just starred Hulk, Bruce Banner is a very sympathetic and partially relatable character. Like, like you can relate to him, like, mostly, but like, why I said partially relatable is because, like, no one actually, like, has to worry about, like, turning into like a giant green, like, angry super soldier monster thing when they get angry, if you know what I mean. Anyway, he's very well played in this movie. And in this movie, like, Betty Ross, who is played by Liv Tyler, is like, helping Bruce Banner, like, hide from General Ross, like, who happens to be Betty Ross's father. And she's also Bruce Banner's love interest in this movie. She was also Bruce Banner's love interest in the original 2003 Hulk live action movie. And she is perfectly. Liv Tyler gives a perfect performance in this movie. So yeah, Liv Tyler as Betty Ross is like awesome. And yeah, so like everybody knows that General Ross is like, a villain in this movie. Well, not everybody, but like, if you hadn't already guessed, um, General Ross is one of the villains in this movie. But the main villain in this movie is Abomination, who is played by Tim Roth. Um, who is who's a very like menacing villain, like like intimidating villain, and like he's a very power hungry villain. Like he's hungry for power. He just wants power, and he's just very power hungry, and he just wants power, and just basically he just wants to like basically rule the world, if you know what I mean. Like, yeah. And he's a perfect villain in my opinion. And the CGI on Abomination looks pretty perfect too, and pretty realistic, and pretty like tough looking, if you know what I'm saying. Like the CGI makes him look pretty menacing, which is good. This movie has way better CGI than the original 2003 Hulk movie did. In case you haven't seen that movie, or haven't seen like like clips or pictures from the original 2003 Hulk movie, or from this one, like the CGI in this one is way better. The CGI in this one looks perfect and realistic, and like awesome, especially on the Hulk. The CGI in the original 2003 movie, on the other hand, is mostly okay, but sometimes it's horrible. Sometimes it's just horrible and like totally something in my unrealistic. Like looks like something out of like a video game. If you know what I mean. Especially on the Hulk, certain times. Um, the acting in this movie is superb. It's perfect. It's strong. It's awesome. The character chemistry in this movie is awesome. I love the character chemistry between um, Bruce Banner and Betty Ross. It's the best example of character chemistry in this movie. Um, I love the post credit scene of this movie. It's awesome, and the post credit scene of this movie is also like flat out just proof that like this movie is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, for those of you who still don't think so. Um and it's an awesome post credit scene too, and the boss, the action in this movie is the boss fight is awesome in this movie. The action in this movie is awesome. Um the pacing in this movie is awesome and perfect, and just like everything else in this movie, it's perfect. The editing is perfect. The like the just everything in this movie is perfect. Um and like let me just think of some other things that are perfect. Specific things. The ending is perfect and very satisfying. Just everything in this movie is perfect. Is this the best MCU movie ever? No. But it's is it one of the best MCU movies ever? No, but it's like it's still a perfect movie, and it's still a really fun watch. It's still a very gripping movie and a very fun watch, and it still has like great characters and perfect characters, and I'm gonna give this movie a 100% out of 100%, which is the equivalent of an A+. Like, subscribe, join the notification squad. I will return. Oh, wait a minute. Before I leave, if you've seen this movie, tell me in the comments down below what you thought of it. Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you have mixed feelings about it? Did you mildly dislike it? What'd you think? Tell me down below in the comments. Anyway, like, subscribe, join the notification squad. I will return.